Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? This is Colin, back at it again with episode 23 of A New Direction, the podcast where I talk about all sorts of things, a variety of topics, and just kind of give my opinions and advice on different things. Today we have a standard episode like usual, and before we go any further, I would like to address real quick the pink hoodie that is probably going to become a staple of the channel. I just want to make it very clear this is like my sleep hoodie. I'm not disgusting. I just sleep in this hoodie, so it's not dirty. I just want to throw that out there. That was something I wanted to address. And then also, I wanted to thank all of my consistent viewers. So shout out to my mom, my dad, my brother, my grandparents, Parth, and those are the five main people that I know consistently watch this. So just shout out to all of those people. Your support and everything is what drives me to continue going, as well as all of the other subscribers who tune in and, everybody who listens to these episodes. I just wanted to say I'm very thankful for the support, and I am very happy to continue making these. I have a lot of fun. With that being said, we're going to dive right in. Like usual, we got the music recommendation, and today I'm going to be recommending an album that is a little more personal to me, not necessarily in content, but literally just because it is more personal to me. I'm actually connected with the band, so today I'm going to be recommending Patchwork Landscape by Acid, which is my brother Connor and my friend Parth's band. I've recommended their music before. I think my first episode actually was their most recent album. So Patchwork Landscape is the oldest of their officially released material. It came out in 2017, and this album is definitely very different from like their most recent release, Cyclicality, or even like the self-titled. This is a very different sort of vibe. This is actually an entirely instrumental album, save for a few, I think, like spoken word sections here and there that are more ambient. This is honestly more like a post-rock kind of, I don't even know. It's very post-rocky, very much like inspired by like more atmospheric and ambient music. It's not as like metal, although there are some, catchy riffs and stuff. It's not really more like a metal album. I would more describe it as kind of like post-rock or maybe post-metal, but it's not really like anything that follows it, really. This is more their, I guess, like introduction into the sort of, I guess like their most recent musical endeavors. This was sort of the beginning of that. And so I really like this album. I remember when it came out, and I remember Connor, going over to Parth's house and recording this album and kind of being there to see the whole thing sort of come together. It's definitely a very solid album all the way through. There's not a lot of, there's no bad tracks on here, and there's honestly not a lot of tracks that are, slow. Like everything is just very cohesive, very well put together. And I really like this album, so I would highly recommend checking it out. I'll link it in the description, the Bandcamp and everything, but you can also find it on Spotify, Apple Music, all of the big streaming platforms as well. So shout out to my brother and to Parth for creating some really good music going back way, way in time. But, at least in 2017 with their officially released stuff, it's really cool to kind of see the beginning of the Acid journey here. So I would say this album is definitely like an 8 out of 10 for me. Really solid listen, and I would highly recommend kind of starting here and then kind of working your way through their discography, because it's very kind of interesting to see the changes in the evolution of their sound. So Patchwork Landscape, a really good album. But with that being said, we're going to dive into the topics of discussion. And like I said, this is a standard episode, no deep dive or anything like that. However, the overall, I guess, overarching theme of the episode is going to be food, because food is definitely something that's very special to me. I love food. I love trying food and experiencing food. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the one topic that's going to be a little different is the one I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way. And so today I'm going to be talking about my opinions on the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, which is a car that I'm sure most people are probably familiar with, at least in some form. The Firebird was originally came out in the 60s. It was kind of the Pontiac's response to the Mustang, I guess. It was a kind of like the GT style car, and as the years kind of went on, as Pontiac and Chevy, or GM just in general, Pontiac and Chevy kind of mirrored one another in a way. So Chevrolet had the Camaro, Pontiac had the Firebird, which was kind of they were pretty much the same car, honestly. Like the Firebird, obviously, I think looks way cooler than the F-body Camaro. But the Trans Am and the Camaro were very similar. They shared an engine. And I just think the Firebird in general is like the cooler car between the Camaro at the time and then the Firebird itself. I think the Trans Am is definitely a very special car. Like, you don't see them very often, at least where I'm located. I very rarely see them on the road, actually. I don't know. Maybe like one time a month I'll see one, if that. But it's always very special when I do, because they stick out. They kind of, stand out in the crowd of other cars. And not to mention the LS1 that came in I believe it was the 98 to 02 Firebird. The LS1 is just like a monster. Like, it's just a crazy platform, a crazy power plant. And the LT1 that preceded it is also no slouch as well. They can be built and they sound really good. Some people argue that the LT1 actually sounds better than the LS1. So I'm not really familiar with either of them well enough to give an opinion on that, but I can say that independently, having heard both, they both sound really good. So the LS1 is definitely, I think, a more revered engine compared to the LT1, because of the sheer potential that the LS platform has as far as performance and mods and everything. Like, the LS is really the, I guess, cornerstone of, LS swap it, bro. Like, you just want to make cheap, good power. The LS platform has usually got you covered. And so the LS1 that came in the Firebird is really no exception to that. And I honestly think that the Firebird, like, out of all the cars from that time, and this is coming from like a 2-valve owner, a Mustang GT owner, I think the Firebird is definitely the coolest and best muscle car of the late 90s, early 2000s. I think it had the Camaro beat as far as looks. The Firebird, I think, is much more aesthetically pleasing, although I like F-body Camaros. I think the Firebird is much more aesthetically pleasing, and the power, the Firebird just shits all over the 2-valve, really. And even the 3-valve as well, which came after my car. So the 05 to 09 Mustang GT, or 05 to 10 Mustang GT as well, is probably not going to hang with a Firebird. Stock for stock, definitely not. But even with mods, I think the Firebird has a lot more potential than both the 2-valve and the 3-valve engine. And so it would be very cool to own a Firebird. Definitely a car that I would love to have. I don't find a lot, like, out of the ones that I do see for sale around here, a lot of them are automatics, which is kind of surprising to me, because a lot of the F-body Camaros I see are stick shift. So it's kind of an interesting, like, I don't know, difference or juxtaposition between the two, even though they're like the same car. Like, it seems like people preferred the automatic in the Firebird. But if I were to buy one, I would most definitely get a manual transmission. And, like I've said before, I'm a huge manual fan, but if you like the automatic, that's all you. Automatics definitely are very convenient. They have their place, and they're quicker than manuals in pretty much a lot of cases, especially now. The automatics are just crazy. But with that being said, I think the Firebird would definitely be a cool car to own in the future, and definitely something I'm going to look out for as I kind of try to search for a new car. I haven't really given like much of an update on that recently. Not a lot has really transpired. I've kind of shifted my focus a little bit to the more GM side. I guess, like, I really want to buy a 5.0, but the prices right now, or just the prices in general, are still really high, more than I would be comfortable spending and getting myself kind of into. But the LS platform, these cars are considerably old now, at least as far as cars go. And so the insurance is not bad, and the prices on them are not as inflated either. So the C5 Corvette, the Firebird, the F-body Camaros, all of these are like really, really attractive to me, because, the 2-valve is a great car. I love my car, but I do desire a little bit more, or I guess a lot more power. I don't know. It's very true that, like, you get used to the power level of your car, and then you kind of want more. And the 2-valve is not really good for taking any sort of bolt-on mods, and I'm not really wanting to spend money to boost it. So I'm kind of out of luck there. And then the 3-valve is the same way. Like, you can make good power with them, but it takes a lot of money, and the bolt-ons are only going to get you so far. While with the LS platform, you've got a lot more, I guess, potential as far as modding goes. You can tune them and make incredible power out of them right off the bat. Do an exhaust. You can do the cams. Everything, and you're gonna be making like crazy horsepower numbers out of these cars, and it's cheaper to do it that way too. At least the LS, everything seems to be kind of cheaper as far as modding goes, in my experience. So definitely attractive. I mean, I see these F-body Camaros. The Firebirds, the Corvettes, they make well over 400 horsepower to the wheels. And, these cars are really old. These cars like late 90s, early 2000s. So over 20 years ago. Definitely attractive to me as somebody who is wanting a faster, domestic muscle car. So I will definitely keep y'all updated on that, whether or not I find a Firebird. But with that being said, we're going to dive into the actual kind of meat and potatoes. God, what a good pun of the episode. And so I have three topics chosen for this, but it's honestly probably going to be pretty seamless. Like I'm just going to kind of talk about everything. But it's going to be about food. So I'm going to talk about my favorite like meal of the day and why that is. And then my particular experiences with a certain type of food that I've eaten for many years. And then just my favorite type of cuisine in general. So those are like the three topics, but we're just kind of flow between them. So we're going to start off, like I said, with favorite meal of the day and why. And so this is a question that I've been asked before. And it's honestly kind of hard for me to answer because I don't necessarily, I don't think in meals, right? I guess being that I work the hours that I work, I just kind of eat when it's convenient at the time. Like if we're not busy at work, I'll eat something. But if I had to pick a favorite meal of the day, man, I'd probably say dinner, because I usually eat dinner like later at night. And so, it's nice to kind of get off work and, be hungry, and then I can stop and get like some Jack in the Box or something. And yes, I am a huge Jack in the Box fan. I've probably talked about that before. People give Jack in the Box a bad rep, and I mean, I can kind of understand the food quality's not great, but the prices are really good for somebody like me who is trying to not spend a whole bunch of money. And you get a lot of food, and it's good. Like, I mean, it's passable. Like, I'm not going to Jack in the Box expecting to get like some fine dining food or anything like that. And so it usually hits a spot for me. But dinner, I would say, is definitely my favorite meal, and I also, because there's so many different things you can eat for dinner. Like you can eat breakfast for dinner. You can make something small. You could do like a sandwich, or I guess like a lunch style item for dinner, or you could just go all out and have like a huge meal, like spaghetti or, burgers or steak. I mean, I'm a more fan of the more like lavish dinners. I like having a lot of food. But dinner in general is just my favorite meal of the day. However, I've heard arguments go specifically to breakfast, which I can understand, because breakfast is like your first meal of the day. Like it's going to give you your energy to kind of get through the rest of your day. And it just kind of hits a spot. Like you wake up, you've been sleeping, you kind of hungry, so you going to go eat some breakfast. And like there's some really good breakfast foods like pancakes and waffles and bacon and sausage and biscuits. Oh my God. I love biscuits, being in the South especially. I've been raised on eating biscuits, cheese biscuits, jelly biscuits, sausage biscuits, bacon biscuits. I don't like eggs, which is definitely kind of odd. I get a lot of flack for that, honestly. I don't like eggs. And so you won't find me eating like a sausage and egg biscuit, but sausage biscuit with cheese or bacon with cheese, that's what I get from McDonald's for breakfast. I'll get a bacon and cheese biscuit with no egg. I don't know. I just love all that stuff. And like, man, breakfast just hits different sometimes. Like the breakfasts that I normally eat are not that great. Like I'll eat like a granola bar or like some popcorn. Like I know you're like, what? But I don't particularly eat breakfast like that. And that's also because I don't really get out of bed until later on, unless I have to get up really early, like for school or something like that. But breakfast is definitely one of those meals that if I could eat really like good for breakfast, like if I got up and made like a solid breakfast, I honestly can see why that would be somebody's favorite. It would probably be my favorite as well. I don't know. Breakfast, has evolved for me over time. It seems like when I was in elementary school, my breakfast, I'd always eat Pop Tarts, and I would drink milk with ice, which is apparently weird. I don't do that anymore, and looking back on it is kind of weird. Like, why was I putting ice in my milk? It kind of waters it down, and then you get like water milk, and it's kind of weird, but like, I don't know, I liked it. And honestly, if I did it right now, I would still probably drink it. And some people don't even like milk. Like, there are people who just straight up don't drink milk. You know, I've met people like that, and that's cool. But like, I love milk. I don't know. Milk has been something like another one of those things I guess I've been raised on, and so I love drinking milk. It's a solid beverage choice, and it's perfect with breakfast. But despite all of the great things I have to say about breakfast, dinner is still my favorite meal. But as far as lunch goes, this is going to dive into the next topic. Lunch is something that I love to eat. Lunch is honestly typically what I eat when I get up because, like I said, I kind of get up later. Like, I'll get up at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock, so I'll just eat lunch. Yeah, and I'll eat lunch at 10:30. I've eaten lunch earlier than that before. I've eaten lunch at like 10:15. So, I don't know. That's definitely too early for lunch, I would say, or at least by most definition, or most people's definition of lunch. But still, like my lunch early. But a meal that I've had for lunch and something that I've eaten for literally like how probably definitely over a decade now are Lunchables. Man, those Lunchables hit different, dude. I have been eating them, like I said, over a decade. I remember eating Lunchables in kindergarten. There was actually this girl in kindergarten who would like steal some food from my Lunchables. Um, yeah, I don't know why, but she would take some of my Lunchable stuff, and that got on my nerves. So, whoever that is, why do you do that? Like, why are you taking Lunchables from me, man? But the cracker ones were the ones I would eat back then. Like, I would get like the turkey and cracker, which is the only one that I really eat like those kinds anymore. Like, I would usually eat like ham and stuff too, and bologna, but now I really only like turkey. Ham is okay, but I don't really like to eat it, if that makes sense. Like, ham is not something I just like crave or want to eat like that. And so I find that turkey is the go-to. But I was eating all of them back in the day. I would eat all the different lunch meats and the crackers. And then there were the nacho ones and the pizza ones. The pizza ones, don't even get me started. The amount of pizza Lunchables I've probably eaten in my whole life is like unnecessary. I've had too many pizza Lunchables in my life. Like, literally between probably like fourth grade all the way up until now, to this day, I still eat pizza Lunchables. And like, I don't know, this might just be me, but I distinctly remember the pizza Lunchables having smaller pepperonis. Like, the ones that you get now, and at least for the past good few many years now, the pepperonis are like a lot bigger. But I remember there being Lunchables that had smaller pepperonis. I don't know if I'm tripping and like I just invented that, but like I feel like I distinctly remember eating pizza Lunchables that had smaller pepperonis. But there's not just the pepperoni pizza Lunchable. There's also the cheese pizza one, which smacks as well. Like that yellow cheese they be giving you. Like, you get like the white cheese, normally like the mozzarella, I guess. But with the cheese one, you get like the extra cheesy pizza, and so they give you like some yellow cheese. I don't know if it's cheddar or like some Mexican blend or something, but that stuff goes hard, man. And I am one of those people, I have never heated up my Lunchables. It has never crossed my mind ever to heat my Lunchable. I don't know. It feels wrong to do that to me. Like, I don't know. Like, people be putting them in the microwave and heating up their pizza Lunchables and like melting the cheese down, but then I feel like it'd be nasty. Like, at least when they're cold, like, you know what to expect. Like, I've eaten them enough, like I know exactly how it's gonna taste, and like it's pretty good. But then like when you like go to the effort of cooking it, like you're cooking these subpar processed ingredients to make what? A pizza? Like, at that point I would just go cook like a frozen pizza, or like make my own pizza. I don't know. Like, Lunchables are convenient, don't get me wrong, but they should not be heated up. Just my opinion. If you disagree, that's cool. I mean, there are definitely benefits to heating it up, I guess, if you prefer the flavor. But not for me. I'm not heating up my pizza Lunchable. But like I said, the nacho ones were really good. And then they also did these different ones too, like the subs. You could get the subs, dude. Oh my God, the Lunchable subs. Like, I don't know, maybe all those sub Lunchables, because I remember they made the uploaded ones that came in like the box, and they were like the cool, sleek looking box or whatever, and like I would get the dark blue one that was the turkey and cheddar cheese, and dude, I would make a banging ass sub, and I would never use that mayonnaise either, and that's kind of crazy to me now because I like mayonnaise a good bit now, but back in the day I was not about it. I'd throw that mayonnaise out. And I would always, and like, it was always a game because those Lunchables would come with the Kool-Aid, like, powder or whatever, and the small little bottle that, like, could barely hydrate. Like, you wouldn't even hydrate like an infant with this water bottle. I would pour the powder in and shake it up, and it was always like a game to see if it was actually going to taste good or not because it was like half of the time you would get some really solid tasting Kool-Aid that was like really good and flavorful and bold, and then the other rest of the time you would get this really like garbage Kool-Aid that was like watery and just tasted like ass and just wasn't it. I distinctly remember that, and I would spill the powder everywhere and it would get on my nerves, and like we used to eat on the floor in high school for a long time. Like we would eat it on the floor in the hallway, and I would just get it all over the floor and it was just a mess. But the sub Lunchables were great, and I guess it was like foreshadowing since I work at a sub place. Like I was getting the experience early for sure. Should have put that on my resume. I ate many sub Lunchables in high school. But I don't know, like the sub ones were good. Then they had like you could get like a burger one, I think, like small burgers, and then there was like the hot dogs, and the hot dog ones made me sick, dude. Do not get the Lunchable hot dogs with whatever you do. Like I remember eating that in elementary school. I was in like third or fourth grade, and I ate that, and I like literally went and threw up in the nurse's office and like went home. Like my mom came and got me because I got sick off that Lunchable. Do not get the hot dog ones, and I was eating it cold there again, so maybe that was part of the problem. But like I put the mustard and the ketchup on there, and like you eat it, and it's got this weird, just like, God, I can still like taste it, sort of like it's just nasty. Don't do it. The hot dog ones is not the move. Could not recommend anything less, honestly, than those hot dogs. I am personally offended by them. Don't do it. Like, God. I could go on and on about that because it was just so nasty, and I remember like it made me throw up and everything, and it was just disgusting. Like, why would they do that? Why would you make a pre-packaged, processed hot dog lunch kit? I don't know. And I don't know. Lunchable be doing some crazy stuff. Like if I were to like list like my favorite ones, definitely like the turkey and American cracker one, the pepperoni pizza and the nachos are up there. My least favorite ones are definitely those hot dogs. They made like, I don't know. They made this one. They used to make these like breakfast Lunchables that were pretty good too. So I didn't even think about those. Like the breakfast Lunchables I was getting, like you would make like a breakfast sandwich, and it was like bacon and cheese and on these little like bruschetta like flatbread things. Oh my God, those were really good. There's like a breakfast sandwich or something. I don't know. But then they also made like some kind of questionable ones. Like they used to make the like long pack ones that was like the little cube turkey and little cube cheese and little crackers. I'm like, this is definitely like barely edible. Like this is barely passing like a food rating right now. So as much as I ate those, like in hindsight, I don't know if I would like those as much, although I'd still probably eat the hell out of them. But then they make knockoff Lunchables too. Like, okay, so I tried one of these the other day actually, and it was I actually like threw it away. Like I ate like a few bites and I just threw it away. It's the brand Armor, and they're called Lunch Makers, and they're like literally Lunchable knockoffs. I don't know what else to call it. And I remember I had a friend in elementary school try to tell me that the Lunch Makers are better than the Lunchables, and like, there's no way. I had a nacho cheese lunch maker the other day, probably like 2 days ago. And it was, oh my God, it was just disgusting. Like the chips tasted stale and they were huge. Like you barely got any chips. The cheese was like literally lower quality than like Carnival or Ballpark nacho cheese. Like, you know, like you get the tortilla chips in the little thing, and they'll just like do that cheese whiz, cheese goop stuff that's warm and good, but like, you know, it's not good for your body at all. Like it's garbage toxins or whatever. It's like lower quality than that. And then the salsa, I didn't even try the salsa. It was like a weird color. It was like a purplish kind of color. I was like, I'm not doing that. Ate it, stale chips. I dipped it in the cheese, and the cheese was just like, no, don't do it. Don't eat lunch makers. And I know they make the cracker ones. The cracker lunch makers are okay, but like the Lunchable ones are so superior. Like the lunch maker crackers are buttery, but like the cheese and the turkey have a like they go together, but like the flavor of them is just kind of weird. Like I'm not a fan. Lunch makers are not the move. I am particularly not fond of those. And then on top of that, you've also got like rich people Lunchables. That's what I call them. They come in like, I think there's one brand. It's called like Hillshire Farms or something like that. They sell it in Publix. And it's just like, you can tell it's like really high class Lunchables. Like it's got the really clean and modern and just really well made packaging. And like the meats are really good, high quality. And the crackers look like a woven like carpet almost. Like the crackers are just like, you can see the like weave of the cracker. I don't know what to call it, but like it's really good. They're really crunchy and crispy and they taste good. And the cheese is really good and milky. Like I really like those Lunchables. I call them rich people Lunchables. They're only like compared to the regular Lunchables that are like $1, these are like $2 or $2.25. Like they're not that much more, but like they're really good. But you get considerably less food with them, so it's kind of not worth it. Like you could just get a Lunchable and get a cheaper quality but higher quantity meal. Yeah, I don't know. Lunchables, like the prepackaged lunches are literally like something I'm well informed about. I have so many years of experience eating them. It's kind of just like second nature to me at this point. It's kind of scary. I don't know. But I don't know. And then just going off of that, the last topic I was going to talk about was my favorite type of cuisine in general. And this is a really difficult question for me to answer because I really do like a lot of different kinds of kinds of cuisine, but just types of food, I guess. I love American kind of food, burgers and French fries and hot dogs, like corn dogs, that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of that. But I like Italian food. Different types of pasta. I like ravioli. I like spaghetti. Alfredo. I'm a big fan of Italian, especially like pizza. I know pizza is very much like an American thing now, but it's rooted in Italian and it's kind of considered Italian food. Calzones, that kind of stuff. I'm a huge fan of that. I love Chinese food. Oh God, I love Chinese food. Honestly, my favorite type of cuisine in general would probably be Chinese food. I love fried rice. I love lo mein noodles, and I love chicken, like the sesame chicken or the General Joe chicken. I love Mongolian beef. Like you cannot go wrong with Chinese food. It is so good. It is so cheap and you get so much of it, especially if you go to these like mom and pop brick and mortar kind of hole in the wall style Chinese places. You get like huge serving sizes and it's so cheap. Like there's a local, like a restaurant literally like 5 minutes down the road from my house that sells Chinese food, and you can get like a huge takeout platter of sesame chicken and fried rice for like $6. Like it's like $7 after tax. It's crazy how cheap it is, but you get so much food. Like it's delicious. And I don't know, I just love Chinese food. It's funny because Chinese food is something like for a long time in my life I was kind of like leery of it in a way. Like it was something that I didn't want to try because I don't know, it just seemed kind of nasty to me because I didn't like rice and noodles were not really my thing. Like I liked pasta, like spaghetti. And, I didn't really realize at the time that I guess a lot of Chinese food is like literally spaghetti noodle doused in sauce and stuff. But like lo mein noodles, like they're delicious, like made right. And then Japanese too. I mean, Chinese is and Japanese are a little different, but like you find similar foods there. So like Japanese noodles, like the yakisoba noodles or whatever they're called, kind of spicier that I've had. There's a local Japanese kind of place that I like as well. Those noodles are freaking delicious, man. You like noodles are like honestly some of my favorite food because you can like make them good and they can taste however you want. Like you can douse them in spaghetti sauce, like pasta sauce, and get like the tomatoey Italian sort of vibe, or you can put like some sesame oil and different spices on there and get like a Chinese vibe, or like however you want. Like ramen noodles, you can like Noodles are perfect. You can get any sort of flavor you want with noodles. And so I guess that's kind of why I like Chinese so much. You get all those noodles and then the chicken. There's so many good Chinese places around where I live. So like I don't know. I guess I might be biased a little bit because I just love the different places around here. But I've never had bad sesame chicken. Never had bad General Zhao's chicken. Like it's always really good. The sauce is always really rich and just delicious. And the chicken is always well done. It's crispy. It's tender. It's how it should be. So for that reason, I think Chinese is definitely my favorite. But a good close second would be just like American cuisine, like burgers and fries. Love it. Burgers and fries has been like a favorite of mine since childhood. Like I love cheeseburgers. I love fries. I love tater tots, corn dogs, hot dogs. I love all that stuff. And I actually didn't have my first hot dog until I was in fifth grade, crazily enough. And the first hot dog I ever had was boiled. It was a boiled hot dog. So I would only eat them that way for a long time. I got to where, of course, I like them on the grill or just like however you make them. Like I'll just eat it. But I distinctly remember my first hot dog because I was in fifth grade and we were having like a class party. And it was like a known thing at that point that I'd never had a hot dog. Like I had even told my teacher about it. And she was like, you are going to eat a hot dog at this party. And so they had like boiled them up and everything. And like they had all the condiments, the, ketchup, mustard, relish, all the stuff you wanted. And we just kind of went down the line and made our hot dogs. So I got like one or two, put my ketchup and mustard on there. And I sat down and took my first bite. Oh my God, I was hooked. I loved it. Like, it was really good. I was like, this is what I've been missing out on. Like, are you stupid? I was like knocking myself on the head. I was like, what are you doing? And you would have thought in that moment, like my eyes were like open, like my third eye would have opened or something. And I would have just like immediately expanded my horizons in all senses. But no, I really didn't. I just kind of added hot dogs to my repertoire. It hasn't really been until recently that my food horizons have really expanded and I've been more interested in trying new foods. Like I almost tried a black olive today, almost. Like I was just compelled to try black olive and I didn't do it because I don't like how they smell. At least the ones we have at work, they got kind of like this weird aroma to them that I'm not a fan of, almost kind of sterile. Like it's, I don't know. If you smell black olive, you kind of know what I mean. But maybe one day. But, I've tried lettuce, different types of dressing, ranch, honey mustard. That's all stuff that I've really picked up recently and my taste is kind of acquired. But back in the day of the hot dogs, I was not about that. So I just kind of added that to my catalog and moved on. But a good burger and tater tots, like cheese tots is probably my go-to meal. Like a good cheeseburger with cheese, mustard, ketchup, mayonnaise maybe, bacon, like pepper jack cheese is usually what I like, or American cheese. Like you can't go wrong. And then I like them on Texas toast too. I like my burgers on Texas toast. Buns are really good, but Texas toast is probably my go-to like bun option. But you can't go wrong. And then like I was saying, like pizza and stuff like that. I love pizza. That's been a staple since my childhood. Everybody's had pizza. I used to eat the Totino's pizza that you buy at like Walmart, and I loved those. I still like those today. They were cheap. They're like 93 cents or something. Like they're dummy cheap and they're good. Like you make them in the oven and they get crispy and done, and like they just taste really good. Totino's pizzas are banging. Love those. But frozen pizzas, like I'm definitely kind of gotten to the point where I like, DiGiorno. I like the stuffed crust pizza a lot, especially. I love stuffed crust pizza. It's definitely the best way to have your crust, I think. I like my pizza well done as well. Like I like it crispy. So I don't know. Pizza's definitely a favorite. I like it with pepperoni usually is my go-to, but I like cheese pizza, I like bacon, sausage. I even eat ham on pizza, which is kind of funny because I don't eat ham otherwise. So I don't know why I like it so much on pizza in comparison to just on its own, but it's good. And then breadsticks, I love garlic stuff. I like wings as well. That's like more American, I know, but just kind of come to my mind. I love wings. I love barbecue sauce, like on my wings. I prefer boneless wings. Like I like wings on the bone, but I just like boneless wings because I can just like eat all of it. I don't know. I don't have to like, lick the marrow off and all that. I just kind of just fork it or just bite it and just eat the whole thing. But I love barbecue sauce. I like buffalo, and then dipping your wings in ranch is like the best move. But I don't know, like I said, my favorite type of cuisine would definitely have to be Chinese. It's just so good. And I still remember the first time I had Chinese food. The first time I tried it, it was honey chicken with noodles. And I was hooked. Like I was hooked from the very get-go. The first Chinese food I ever had was at P.F. Chang's, which is like a restaurant, and it's really good. Although it's not my favorite now. P.F. Chang's used to be my favorite. It's a little expensive, But the more I've gone, the lesser the food has gotten as far as quality wise. Like I have liked it less and less, and the service has just gotten awful. So we don't go to PF Chang's anymore. And then on top of that, there's better Chinese food. Like I said, that little hole in the wall that's like 5 minutes down the road from my house is better than PF Chang's in my opinion. And then there's another restaurant in my town that I love. It's probably my favorite. Their sesame chicken and General Zhao chicken is just delicious, and the takeout like is really good too. You get a whole bunch. Um, Chinese is my favorite. So shout out to my mom and my dad for making me eat Chinese food. They didn't make me eat it, but they highly encouraged me to do it, and they took me up to PF Chang's. However long ago that's been now, over a year, 2 years ago probably, and they got me hooked on Chinese food. So definitely my favorite type of cuisine. But with that being said, we're 34 minutes into this episode already, so that pretty much covers all the topics. The time really flew by. I didn't even know it was going to be this long. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode. My food discussion. Food is definitely something I can just talk about forever. I love food. And then the Firebird, beautiful car. Definitely one I would love to own. But with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I hope this video finds you all in a positive headspace and a good spot. And if not, just know that it will be all right. You are stronger than your circumstances. And I would love to get some kind of suggestions on what kind of content you all would like to see on the channel. Like I said, I've been working on a few different things. Nothing has really come to a point where I'm happy with, I guess, releasing it. I still got to, work on the details and get the recording done. But I've got a few ideas on the back burner, but I would love to hear from the viewers, like what kind of content would you like to see. I've thought about reading like maybe some creepypastas or something like that here and there, just narrating scary stories, or just telling stories in general, anything like that. I love mysteries and researching stuff like that, so if that's something y'all would be interested in hearing about, I would love to know. But just drop your suggestions in the comments and any thoughts, opinions. But with that being said, this has been episode 23 of A New Direction. I have been Colin, and I hope you all have a great day or night wherever you are, and I will see y'all next time.